Welcome. It's long been my observation that working with many people who meditate, that Hatha Yoga adds a dimension to people's meditation practice that may not be there if you meditate or do yoga alone. I found that intriguing and often wondered why. Tuning into these people has led to some conclusions that the people who just do yoga may not be aware of what is happening spiritually as they practice yoga, or they are caught in a kind of physical body fitness focus. That physical fitness focus is a kind of grasping of the mind on body consciousness, whereas yoga is about, in part, your release from worldly things, including your body. That kind of approach to yoga brings a certain rigidity of mind that translates into an energetic kind of mental and body rigidity. It's a kind of materiality that denies or doesn't know of any existence of spirit or soul or the divine. It is, in other words, an absence of spirit. Yet despite that, these people who practice this approach to yoga receive the non-physical benefits of yoga without understanding the experience. How cool is that? When people take up a secular meditation or yoga practice, at some point in time, particularly if they push their practice, this ignites into a spiritual awakening. It can be a violent awakening, or most probably a gentle opening and awareness that both result in leading your life with more spiritual awareness and alignment. People who do both yoga and meditate develop, within a relatively short period of time, a kind of soul and body flexibility. They are generally more open and in tune with themselves. There is a communion between their physical bodies and the non-physical parts of themselves. The ego, capital E, that is the eternal part of yourself, the self, capital S, and the archetypes of who we are. It's like there is a working out and alignment at a physical level, and those non-physical levels of ourselves I've spoken about. This allows a permeation of ego, the eternal part of ourselves, to occur. It is a beautiful thing to see, and this ultimately leads to a life lived in more harmony with the higher aspects of ourselves. Also, you should know that meditation is the burning up of astrality. It is the burning destruction of the mind and its emotions, the sense of who you are in terms of your personality, and the burning of all the samskaras, that is, the emotional imprints that form your astral body and stop you being the fullness of who you can be. Yoga also creates that burning effect through the impact of the posture and the subsequent release. The thing about the postures is that they are archetypal in nature and can be seen to play out in the world. Take, for example, downward facing dog pose, the cobra pose, the child pose, or trikonasana. Each of these can be seen in human life or nature. They are archetypal postures that bring benefits to the practitioner. And so meditation and yoga are each in their own way powerful. Meditation and yoga both unleash spiritual fire in a way that brings over time this ease, this grace, this opening, this alignment which is truly wonderful to experience and to behold. Another simple way to reflect on meditation and yoga is that it could also be said that the astral body, that layer of your consciousness which is your mind, has opened or let go sufficiently to allow the impulses of the self and ego to pass through. Moving on, the term yoga in the Western world often denotes a modern form of Hatha Yoga and a posture-based physical fitness, stress relief and relaxation technique consisting largely of asanas. This differs from the traditional sense of yoga, which focuses on meditation and release from worldly attachments. Some typical definitions of yoga made over the centuries include: yoga is the union of the self and the Lord. That's taken from the Kaundinyas Pankathabhyasa from the Pashupata Sutra in the 4th century CE, that is after Christ. Another states yoga is the calming down of the fluctuations or patterns of mind. Then the seer, note spiritual seer, is established in his own essential and fundamental nature. In other states, there is assimilation of the seer with the modifications of the mind. That's from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali in the 1st century after Christ. To reflect, there are 6 main styles or schools of yoga, each having their own focus and methodology. They are not separate, but part of a vast and complex system that goes back thousands of years. These styles of yoga have different aims or pathways, all leading to the same outcome. The aim of all yoga is to create that harmony, a union of our physical body, mind and higher self, and the realization of our source, a resting in that source or self, or godhood. In no set order, we acknowledge the different pathways of yoga as Hatha Yoga, or Yoga of Postures. You might see them in the West as Hatha, Iyengar, Ashtanga Yoga, for example. Other yoga paths include Raja Yoga, or the Yoga of Self-Control, Kundalini Yoga, the Yoga of Energy. Now note, Kundalini and Kriya Yoga paths involve the circulations of energies through your body of energy, leading to awakenings of your centers of energy. Then there's Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of action in the world. There's Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. There's Bhakti Yoga, yoga of devotion. All of these forms of yoga come to play in your spiritual practice in varying degrees depending on the path you are taking. You can find all of these aspects at play in every religion. These are the fundamental building blocks of a spiritual practice. Looking specifically at classic Hatha Yoga, for example, comprising of asanas or postures including pranayama or breathing exercises, shatkamas or cleansing practices, bandhas, that is energy locks, and mudras or gestures that have archetypal or spiritual implications. You can see the practice of Hatha Yoga becomes a very involved process with all these different aspects. Hatha Yoga might be considered more passive, but I don't necessarily consider that statement to be true, as you can push any asana to their limits if you want to. You will quickly find out how passive they really are. On a serious note, however, often pain or injury caused in yoga is in fact the opening of major samskaras that heavily impact into the physical body. That is why yoga is this slow, steady releasing and opening process that admits the light of the ego and the self. Just like wind or water on stone erodes the stone over time. Meditation potentiates and even speeds up that process. Within Hatha Yoga, there are differing degrees of complexity and difficulty. In the West, you can access all yoga paths quite easily. As a complementary pathway for people seeking to meditate, I do recommend yoga as a way to strengthen that bridge to your non-physical bodies. Now, I hope you found this video useful. If you want to know more about meditation and mindfulness, feel free to subscribe, and more videos with tips, techniques and context will be on their way to you shortly. Thanks for watching.